The books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harek Sean Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harek Sean Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
Hey, peace to the fam, man. Peace, peace, peace. It's your brother Sutek. We black at you again on Kofi Paisa TV. We gonna see if my brother Tariq is gonna come through. I sent him the link a couple minutes ago. He wants to explain to us how we are Moors. So I didn't really get to get into the conversation the other day with the brother. I was kind of hosting, so I was letting the panel members get it in with them. But today is not. I'm not throwing the link out there. This will just be a closed bill with the brother Tariq, me, and the rest of the brothers. Here we go.
Peace, peace.
Peace, bro. Let my brother introduce me.
Okay. Hold on, hold on a second.
Go ahead, bro, T'Challa.
All right, peace. Peace to the family. Peace to my brothers on the panel. Oh, he just popped off. All right. Like and share the show as usual. And I'm gonna sit back and let Sutek, dialogue with the brother. I got a little heated last show, so I'm gonna go on and sit back on this one. You know what I'm saying? And calm it down and be an adult.
Nah, man. The brother don't mind, man. Just wanna, keep it civil with him. He did do a good job at being respectful. So we just don't have a cordial dialogue. I appreciate the brother, his integrity. That's why I'm allowing him to come back on. Hopefully he just popped out. Hopefully he'll pop back up in a minute. Peace, brother Decentavo. Peace, Mika. Peace, brother Mathis. Peace to everybody else that's watching and hasn't commented in the chat yet either. Make sure y'all please like the show and please share the show.
All right, my bad. Having some technical difficulties with my Bluetooth.
Nah, that's all good,
peace,
man.
Peace.
Peace, bro.
How y'all brothers feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great today, Friday. Feeling good. How about yourself?
Man, I can't complain, man. I'm alive and breathing, bro.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Hopefully we can keep it a lot more amicable this time, brothers.
Yeah. That's why I said I'm gonna make it a closed build. I ain't gonna throw the link out there. It's just gonna be me, you, and the brothers. Looks like just the brother T'Challa for today.
For sure.
But yeah, go ahead and go into your spiel.
All right.
Why do you feel like that African quote unquote African Americans are Moors?
Because we are descendants of the Moroccan Empire.
So you saying we're descendants of an empire, or can we be descendants of an empire?
People that were a part of the empire? You know, that's what I mean. Like our ancestors were a part of the Moorish Empire. That's what I'm saying. And that was our last identity prior to slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and being stripped of our names and nationalities. To overlook Moorish history is you got to skip over like the last 1,000 years prior to the enslavement of our people.
So is that the last identity? You said that's the last identity that we went by. That we was. That's what I'm saying. Like we weren't calling ourselves by this term, correct?
I disagree with that. From what I've gathered is, again, like I explained the last build. Yes, we had a bunch of tribes, bunch of nations that were part of the empire, right?
Hey, brother, not to cut you. Can you turn that down in the background? It's hard to hear you, bro.
Yeah, at the airport.
Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
No, it's all good, and I'm gonna try to move somewhere where it's a little more quiet. But hold on a second. Hey, y'all, give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
All right, no problem. Peace, Sister Anusha. Peace, CK. Yeah, man. The brother's in the airport. He about to hop on the flight. But yeah, to my recollection, to my knowledge, we never called ourselves by this term Moors. The term etymologically and really every variation of the term is of European origin. We had our own names. We had our own terms for what we identified each other by. To just blindly label us all as Moors, that's something that Europeans would do. Like even the Arabs weren't doing that. They were calling these different groups by their names. So that's gonna be a tough one, man.
Let me ask this question. For one, it's far from blind. There are enough records where we are identified as Moor, we treated as Moors, as part of the empire, and a lot of people always just bring up the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, but there's treaties that go back to the 1400s, 1500s, where we identified and treated as Moors. So it's to say we didn't identify as it. Why were we treatying and inducting in international legal affairs as Moor? And at the end of the day, for me, it's about solution. What's the best way to get equal rights and eventually, ultimately, sovereignty for our people? What's the best way to do that? And currently, I'll keep it all the way funky. If the treaties and all that said Hebrew, I'll be sitting here telling you I'm Hebrew. If the treaty said African American, I would sit here and tell you I'm African American. I play chess, not checkers. I'm not emotionally tied to any of this. It's the facts as I see it and the best path forward as I see it. So to say, okay, we can't say we Moors, you have to have a much more a better alternative.
Okay, so this treaty that you're referring to, who is we when you say we made this treaty? Because I'm pretty sure you're talking about Morocco, right? Morocco and America.
No, I will say, here's the thing, right? I see what you're trying to do, brother. You're not gonna get me to jump out the window, right? But I will say this: there is enough evidence to show uh, that we were moving back and forth on both sides of the water. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima detailed that very well, and they came before Columbus. And there's a few other works, but that's the first one that jumped into my head. That's the one I'm most familiar with. But we've been going back and forth. Um, what was the other part of your question? I can't remember what the first part is. What you said, brother,
Well, I was
or
asking
statement.
what are you talking about Morocco and America as far
Okay,
as the treaty?
okay, no, sir. I'm talking about. Well, I won't say. Well, the treaty applied to Moors everywhere. It didn't limit it to geographical. It just said any and all Moors. That's how we could take advantage of that. And the Sundry Free Moors Act in 1790, I believe it was brothers that knew they were Moors that migrated here, and they did not want the Negro laws to apply to them. So they filed a suit and won it, and that's the Sundry Free Moors Act of 1790. Anyone could go look that up. Now, my question is, why would they be concerned of falling under the Negro Act if if they couldn't be mistaken or didn't look just like us? If they looked totally different, if there was a huge difference between them, they wouldn't have had to fight for that distinction to be made.
I think we going a little too. We skipping over a lot. We skipping over a lot. So when
Okay.
we first see this term more, or any variation of the term more, is by a Greek, right? Strabo.
I disagree with that. I seen. Did you look at the link I sent you where it said Moor was originally a Phoenician word, and there's also reference to it in Egypt. E. Wallace Budge and hold on, man. I'm forgetting the author's name, but it's much older references. It's references to Moor and Kemet, brother. So it's well much older than Greeks. Much older than Greeks. I will say the word has multiple meanings, and it's easy to get tripped up. I will say that, but the word is much older than Europeans and European usage. It's in the hieroglyphs, bro.
Okay, so I got a brother right here that's familiar with those glyphs. So hold on, let me go. Let me try to see if I can pull this link up. Okay, yeah, here it is. Let me share my screen. So let's make it known first of all that this is a blog, right? So American Society is a historical society dedicated to the preservation and perpetuation of Moorish heritage, history, legacy, and culture. Okay. Moor originally meant Westerner, not Negro, black, or colored.
And these are Phoenicians who were saying Westerner. So they're talking about Western Africa, brother.
Hold on, me. Okay, yeah. So they are showing sources. Okay. There is no reason to believe that people who call themselves Mari assume their native name from foreigners. Okay. After all, North Africa, then called Mauritania, and Spain both have been provinces of the Roman Empire, and as such, they had traded with one another for centuries. Yeah, that, you know that. But how is more? Let me see. I'm not seeing how more means Westerner.
You can't just breeze through that, fam. I sent you that yesterday, man. I was hoping you would have had a chance to really dig through it. But I understand we all got busy schedules and all that. So,
I mean, I'm reading it
but when
right
you
now.
do get a chance to really, okay, take your time and read it, brother. It's gonna reveal it to you. But so my question is, what's the better alternative? What's the better solution? Because everything needs to be, in my opinion now, everything needs to be solution based. If it's not gonna help us get free, help us become self-sufficient, then it's really just entertainment or a hobby or pastime. Because I don't know about you, man, but I want my people to be where we supposed to be at, self-sufficient, not having to go with our children, not having to ask other people for jobs, et cetera, et cetera. But and nationality does that. It unites us. Like John Henry Clark said, what we need is a nationality. But we go by stupid words like Negro, black, and color. And he said Spanish, that Negro comes from Spanish, Portuguese, Spanish and Portuguese people took an adjective and made a noun out of it. Like, we got to get off that, man. I
I think,
know, like, go ahead, brother.
I think my brother T'Challa had a question for you. I'm gonna let him ask that while I'm reading through this, if he's still there.
Yeah, I'm right here. I was just putting in a private chat. I was just gonna say I was gonna share my screen because you know
Go ahead. Go ahead.
we
Let me read this real quick.
got all these. What's the names coming through? All right.
Let me say something real quick before you start your build, T'Challa. Uh, I just want to make this absolutely clear, put this on the record. I love my people no matter what they identify as. It might be like pushing rope getting us to unite, but I still love us no matter what you identify as. And even if we differ on how we identify, we should still, or our religious or beliefs or whatever, we should still be able to unite economically.
We absolutely do unite economically because the majority of the people on the planet subscribe to an Abrahamic uh, doctrine of some sort.
Yo, y'all, you brothers there?
Yeah, you there, T'Challa? I think he might have froze up.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, you
But
got his
yeah,
screen
man.
up
And also, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that the Negro Act of South Carolina, Section 4 said Negro is limited to the enslaved Africans, and then it says in parentheses the ancient Berbers. So that's them saying we are the ancient Berbers. You gotta read that joint, bro. It's heavy, and it said this does not apply to free inhabitants of Egypt, or the Moors, et cetera, et cetera. I'm paraphrasing it, of course.
So you basically saying we are Berbers.
The ancient Berbers, the ancient Berbers. Just like a European could tell you
What's the
he's an
difference? Because
American.
we know it's a continuation. We know genetically it's a continuation. So what do you mean the ancient Berbers? It ain't no different.
Just like an ancient American is different from a modern day American. This landscape and its inhabitants, the inhabitants of the Americas, is vastly different than what it was in ancient times.
So what's an
That's
ancient
what I'm
American?
saying.
What's an ancient American? Or how far back do ancient Americans go? Or you just using that as an example?
I'm using that as an example. Like
All right,
you'd have
okay.
to Google just to, that's a matter of interpretation what people consider ancient. You know what I mean?
All right. So if you look in the chat, I don't think you could look in the chat, but if you looked in the chat in your article, we do not see the Phoenician script writing for what would mean west or what would mean more, right? The Phoenician script is funny. So it's like an M, a backwards, like a nine, a slanted nine, and then like two O's. And then as far as west, it's like a W, a plus sign, a lowercase W, and then like an E with an extension, flip, reverse E. So the way that looks to us is not in your article.
Give me a second. I'm bored as fuck.
Put the article back up, Sutek. And we damn sure ain't no ancient Moors.
What I'm saying, I was trying to find where he was talking about. I don't see it.
All right, so can you scroll to the top of the page for me, please? Just the very top of the article for me. Can you scroll up? Yeah. All the way to the okay. Now scroll down just a little bit. Okay, this is a blog. All right, so we've identified it. It's a blog. It's written October 2016 by a
All right, I'm back.
Majadi. Scroll all the way down to the bottom for me. We know this is a blog. This is not accurate because it's not sourced correctly. It's piecemeal. Oh, they
So
got a book.
can you point to me where?
Hold on, bro. Hold on.
Like, show me where it's insufficient, not connecting the dots for you.
Scroll back down right there. Scroll back down.
Right.
Oh, all right. So this is this is what I thought. Like I said, this is just a blog, right? This is written by an American-born so-called Moor, author, history researcher, modernist, 720 entrepreneur, corporate mogul, and maker. All right, so he's pubbing himself up. So this article has not been cross-referenced. Watch this. Sutek, can you go a real slow? You speed up a little bit. All right. So what I want to show you here is, hold on, stop. What you are seeing is images from a Facebook conversation between two people that's actually posted. Now, if you continue to go up more, this is not how you do proper research methodology or make your argument. You see the etymology in a particular book that's written out right there. That's the same old argument. Go back up. It says examining the historical Moors. See, this is all Google stuff. Keep going. Now, what is important is stop right here. Source. Ancient and Modern Britons. A retrospect, volume 1 by David McRitchie. So let's pull up David McRitchie's work. Ancient and Modern Britons. Okay, so I don't think many of you know about this book or read this book, but most people have not, and it don't even matter if you have, if you haven't. Google Books, I have it. They'll have volume 1, but you got to know the author. So who is David McRitchie? He's a Scottish folklorist and antiquarian. He proposed that stories of fairies originated from an aboriginal race that occupied the British Isles before the Celts and other groups. He's into fairy inhumanism. What that means is David Ritchie was prominent proponent of the humorism origin of fairies, a theory traceable to the 19th century. Okay. The origins. McRitchie is often credited as being the founder of a humorist school regarding British fairies. However, historians Edward Cohen has noted that the folklorist John Francis Campbell first founded this school in 30 years before Ritchie. Carol G. Silver, professor of English at Yeshiva University, traced the same humorist theory as fairies go back to Walter Scott and the letters of demonology. Excuse me. Just a bunch of this stuff. So in theory, this guy that wrote this book is fixated with fairies, gypsies, not Moors. Criticisms. There's a bunch of criticisms regarding his work, regarding the fairies and so on and so forth. But really, that's just who he is. He's a folklorist. Nothing really big about this guy, David McRitchie. But he wrote a book. He wrote a book. The name of the book again is Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. This book is being sourced in the article that you've actually read. So I can't take it too serious because there was no real emphasis on David McRitchie's work. So I can't pull the book up and go to a page number and vet a particular quote, or just look at it and verify the context of the quote. So what we're trying to do is, I appreciate you sending the actual source because most people can't even do that, but we need to know how to qualify the source before we enter it into a conversation. And this has nothing to do with you. This is just big. I'm a big stickler on research methodology, and I tend to mess with everybody, even people in my own camp. I don't care. But when we slow the conversation down, so we're going to put all of our belief and faith in a source that we can't even corroborate. So that's what your article that you gave him, with his source was David McRitchie. So he didn't vet his source. He didn't know the author, and therefore he kind of just misrepresented the information. You can go ahead, bro.
Which my bad, bro. I was having technical difficulty, so I couldn't hear you. Which article exactly are you talking about?
All right. So
the
article that you wanted him to go through. Okay, your author's source, this American dude that claims to be a Moor, used David McRitchie's book about the Brits. That book is about fairy tales, folklore. It's not historical information in that book. But yet the article that we were supposed to read, where we could find West, or what Moor meaning West, which it doesn't, in Phoenician, we can't find that. So he's got the brother that you got this article from has to show the linguistic connection to provide evidence of what these words actually mean and where they're written at. Like, you just can't say this word means West and then you can't demonstrate that. Like, you got to have a command for Phoenician. And I guarantee you, no African American that claims to be a Moor has command for Phoenician. Because if they did, they would know in the Phoenician script These words don't even equate to what Moors are trying to claim. So we have to take a step back from the work and we have to critique the source. I basically was saying I appreciate you providing the source, but the information isn't solid.
Hey, bro, why you getting your I guess you get into a quiet place or you having some technical difficulties. Hopefully you see this. This is the genetic history of North Africa. Right. So we come down to the
Hey,
autosomal
excuse me,
DNA.
excuse me,
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
excuse me. Can you hear me? Brother T'Challa, can you show me? Because that's the first time I've heard that about the ancient and modern Britons. If you can, brother,
Yeah,
definitely show
I'm
me
not.
how
I'm not.
you're
I'm not T'Challa.
what you're
I'm not
using to come
T'Challa.
to that. Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
my bad,
I'm
fam.
not T'Challa, but I can help you out with that if you don't want to, if you don't mind. So can
Yeah, for
Suta,
sure, for sure.
can you bring your screen back up to the article that he had, and then can you go back down to where the source was at, please, so that he can understand exactly what I did.
Here we
All
go.
right. So no. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Don't highlight it. Go back to the source. Go back to the source. Like no, put your arrow over the source. It should come up in blue. Now, if it comes up in blue, right click, and then when you right click on it, it should ask if you want to add it to another screen. Or just click on it. It don't matter. We can go back. Click on it and see where it takes us. So here's
Yeah,
your source to the article. Tariq, if you're paying attention, Ancient and Modern Britons, a
I'm,
retrospect, volume 1 by David McRitchie. This is your
I'm,
article source.
I'm familiar
This,
with that work, but my question is, what evidence do you have that says it's not credible? How are you debunking that book? That's my
all
question.
right. So David McRitchie wrote this book because it was about fairy tales. You said you're familiar with the book. Is that accurate?
I have not read it in its entirety. I'm familiar with it. Yes.
All right. So let's do this. Sutek, while your screen is up, can you do me a favor and pull up the Ancient and Modern Britons, David Ritchie, like the whole book? Or you can let's just look at the review. Let's look at the review real quick. Let's look at the 2 reviews they got right there, real quick. All right, I ain't gonna show it. Okay, fine. So hit the back arrow and then go to the beginning of the book for me, please. Let's find out what he says about his book. You got to probably take more out of it because it's still in your search. And then hit the arrow. Let's see if it works. Just a left or right arrow if it says something or whatever. It ain't
I
changing.
don't know. This shit ain't working. Let me go here and do it this way.
All right, so here's the beginning of the book. All right, so Ancient and Modern Britons. Can you scroll down some more? A Retrospect, Volume 1 by David McRitchie. All right, so it says Chapter 1, Fair Whites and Dark Whites, the Australoids, Craniological Testimony, Ugarians and Iberians, a Red Indian Theory, Stone Circles and Their Makers, Distribution of White Races, Early Migration British Types. Keep going. He talks about Orientals. Then the Sillaroons. Keep going. Let's see what he says at the beginning of the book. We don't even care about the chapters. See, what you have to do is you have to substantiate his claims. Whoever has gone into our antiquarium museum and glanced with some curiosity and perhaps the growing interest at the withered fragments of canoes preserved from total decay by the peat out of which they were dug, at the stone heads of weapons whose handles have rotted long ago, at the flint knives and arrowheads, at the sun-dried pottery, at the gaudy beads and the amber of colored glass. This dude is writing from fiction. Continue.
Hold on, let me say this real quick. Will you agree that that whole article is not solely based off of David McRitchie's work, Ancient and Modern?
That's his source.
That's not the only source pointed to in that whole all that information.
Okay,
that's not
so
the only source.
Go back to the article. Go back to the article again for me, Sutet, please.
And again, my question is, what's the better alternative?
Hold on, because we got to, let's do it one at a time.
And real quick, I'm about to have to get off here, man. I'm on the plane.
Okay, we totally understand, bro. We understand that you're traveling. But what does this guy's source say? His source is David McRitchie. His source is nothing else. So if he didn't source this article correctly, then that means he's incorrect from the jump. Now, hold on. Let's give him the other source.
Look right above that. Look above that paragraph.
I see the other source, bro. The Phoenician Origin of Britons, Scots, and Anglo-Saxons by Lawrence Waddell. Let's scroll. Now we can go look up Lawrence Waddell. Keep it. Put it right down on your screen and go up.
And
hold on. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Base information that debunked the book. It was only conjecture that you're debunking that Ancient and Modern Britons with. I saw no definite.
No, bro. The author is about folklore. He's a folklorist. So
show that, brother. You didn't show that though, brother. That's what I'm saying.
You don't know who the author is? How you don't know who McRitchie is, bro?
I just know him from that one book. I didn't look at the life story and all that.
Let me share my screen real quick. Gosh, Lee, man. I'm trying to help you out.
But again, there's multiple sources on that article.
Listen, bro, I'm gonna deal with every last one of them sources because you on the plane. David McRitchie, born in 1851, died 1925, was a Scottish folklorist and antiquarian. He proposed that stories of fairies originated with an Aboriginal race that occupied the British Isles before the Celts and other groups arrived. It's your source. He's a folklorist. He's not a historian. He makes stuff up as he goes. Now, your next source, Lieutenant Colonel. So a lieutenant colonel was a Scottish explorer. This white man right here. Professor of Tibetan, professor of chemistry and pathology, Indian Army surgeon, collector in Tibet, and amateur archaeologist. Waddell also studied Sumerian and Sanskrit. He has made translations and seals of inscriptions. His reputation as an Assyriologist gained little to no academic recognition, and his books on history and civilization have caused controversy. Some of his book publications, however, were popular with the public, and he is regarded by some today to have been a real-life precursor of the fictional character Indiana Jones. So here's your other source. A Assyriologist, a modern-day Indiana Jones who wanted to be. Right here in the Indus Valley. That's nowhere near Mauritania. So we go back. Let me stop again. Let's go to his next source. Let's go to the next source in the article. God, leave, man. I didn't want to do this. Let's see if we get some more sources. Let's go. We got two. There go another one. The Warlock Asylum. Oh, by Warlock Asylum. We ain't gonna find that. Keep scrolling up. We don't even know who the hell the Warlock Asylum is. Blog title, Nomad Sentence Examples. Okay, keep going. We know we ain't gonna find that. These ain't even credible sources. Here go one. Glutus.com has an article on Berbers, which states. You see what I'm saying? Like this is not real research. This ain't even surface level researching, bro. And you're trying to use this as a credible source. Keep scrolling.
On the blog spot.
Come on, man. Just keep scrolling, bro. We trying to find authors. All right, stop. The Encyclopedia of Loudness or Universal Dictionary of Arts, Volume 14 states Mauritania. The names of this country derived from Maori, and ancient people inhabited the book. You see what I'm saying? This is cherry pick. This is Google. Bro, your man's was on Google. A book title, Our Vulgar Tongue, a Extra Language. Words on Samuel license date. This doesn't help. Keep scrolling. This is poorly written, poorly sourced.
For the record,
all right, hold on. Here we
you're
go.
using
Google
Wikipedia,
just said here.
taking shots at
General
Google.
Huh?
I'll say you're using Wikipedia, taking shots at Google.
No, I was just showing you who your authors were. You didn't know who your authors were. You didn't know that David McRitchie was a folklorist. How could you use him? Or Lawrence Waddell, Mr. Indiana Jones himself. Like we're looking.
I gotta go on airplane mode. Real quick. I sent plenty of other sources. Go through those. I sent dictionary links, legal documents, etc. Peace and love, brothers. I gotta dip out.
None of that prove
We're
you
gonna do all this again, man. Sure it doesn't. The dictionary don't. All right, peace.
Peace out, bro. All right, the book Morality of Human Race. Now bring him back up. Bring it back up. This is the first thing you do when somebody give you some bullshit. Is you go and you look at the sources. So keep going. And like I told you, this is a cherry-picked article by Edward Henson. Like we don't have any credible data here, just quotes, right? And even if you read the quotes, you don't even get the context of what's going on. This copy and paste bullet point crap to try to do something. He even got E.A. Wallace Budge in here. But no, I seen maybe one of the sources have a page number on it, and if we go read it, we ain't gonna get nothing. Keep scrolling up. This is what he wanted, though. Some Israelites. Look. No. Scroll back down. Look what it says. Article title, contributions and comments. E.A. Wallace Budge. Sources. What did West mean to the Israelites? Keep scrolling up. I hope the people in the chat are paying attention to what this is doing. Look, dictionary defines the Hebrew term Cushite as Moor. Are you freaking serious? Keep scrolling, bro. This is poorly written, poorly sourced.
You got the screenshots up there.
That's what I'm saying, bro. When you scroll through this, I already knew it was bullshit. I'm like, he gave you a bullshit article. Like, you want us to go chase. So now we got to look. We got to go point for point here. He said, bro, I really wish he was just scrolling through this. He doesn't know how to vet information. He doesn't know. He don't even know the authors. How could he give you something that he ain't even read? I'm familiar with David McRitchie. Oh, yeah, you are? Yeah, I'm familiar with some of his work. Oh, yeah. Is that so? Not, but I haven't read all of it. Oh, okay. The truth come out.
Hey, Sean, when you done, I want to get back to just demonstrating.
You go ahead, bro. I'm gonna drive and come right back. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, man. I don't know what dude was trying to do with that article, but that's not. Let me go back first. So when you
Oh
gonna
yeah,
get
yeah,
to
yeah. You
actually?
show your strength.
Oh yeah. I was gonna ask when you So when you gonna get to actually build with him? It seemed like, you know what I'm saying. Well, last time it was everybody on here, and then this time he had to hop, catch that flight.
Yeah, he did tell me beforehand that he did have a limited amount of time. But I wanted to catch him while I could, because first time I was trying to talk to him, he was like, yeah, we could do it Saturday, and it was like Monday. It was like on a Monday. Yeah, okay, must be a busy guy.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure the brother. I hope the brother go back and watch the rest of it. But either way, if we do a build again and I'm able to be around, I'll pull it back up, or pull up with something else, another source. But I just wanted to demonstrate, like, some of the names that I mentioned yesterday of who the Mandinka people are. Now, everybody should be familiar with what I'm talking about. We well versed with West Africa. We understand what's going on. But this was really for the brother to see, because he was claiming up over here. Let me see, is up here, and they always put Timbuktu. They gotta add that, but this area up in here, which is northern Mali, this is what's present day Mali right here, and this was the Malian Empire. It also kind of encompassed. Let me go down. It kind of extended down even in these regions, depending on you know which griot you talk to. Um, and I just up in this region of Africa is a different conversation than being down in here in sub-Saharan West Africa. Um, you know what? Let me just pull up a better map of Africa. All right, let's just go with this. Oh man, it's I went too far, and it's lagging too. I apologize about that. It's Wi-Fi and all that, but we know that in this area, you know what I'm saying. Let me go in a little bit more. Mauritania, Algeria, Morocco, all of that is a different conversation than down here in Senegal, Gambia. It keeps going back. Let me see. And an example of that, I can pull up YouTube right now, and we can pull up Conakry, Guinea culture. They're not describing themselves as, let's see, being Moors or anything. I wish this thing would act right and stop lagging. All right, it's not going to act right. I guess too many people is on the Wi-Fi. About what area of Africa and what we are and who we are, we can pull that.
You want me to pull it up? I'll pull up the map.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that, bro. I don't know what's going on with the. I mean, it's Friday. I guess everybody wanna be on the social medias. Pure Black said I heard that the word burp derives from Berber. Okay. Right. Now, let's see, I'm gonna make mine bigger.
Hold on. I got he going right here. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you get in there real good. Right. So yeah, right. That region, Morocco. Look at where that's at. That's way up there on the tip, northwest. And then look what's just across the water, just across the Mediterranean, North Atlantic Ocean, all of that. We know what's right up there. Okay. Tunisia, Algeria, all those places. You know, Mauritania. It's a different conversation. You can Google any image from people in these areas, and you can go back in time and you see what they look like. You can observe their culture. And then if you scroll down, come down to Sub-Saharan, down in Senegal and Gambia, where, shout out to the Gandro Skills Academies. All of that down there, Senegal, Burkina Faso, all of that, Guinea, Ivory, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Liberia. That is straight up what we identify with when we see Africa, when we think of Africa. Stuff we saw in Wakanda, stuff we saw in Eddie Murphy's Coming to America Part 2. Like, that's what culture exists right there in that area. Okay? That is exactly what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So the brother made a claim about us being Berbers too. I wanted to get into that. Like you said, hopefully the brother watches the remainder of the show afterwards. But like I had up the genetic history of North Africa, and you go down to the autosomal DNA. It says a recent genetic study published in the European Journal of Human Genetics in Nature in 2019, so this is fairly recent, relatively recent, showed that Northern Africans are closely related to Europeans and West Asians, as well as to Southwest Asians. Northern Africans can clearly be distinguished from West African and other African populations dwelling south of the Sahara. And this is just what Brother Charlie was talking about too, man. Genetically, they are more close to those people of that Mediterranean area than to the people below the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? And culturally, historically and culturally, when you look back, they know this. They clearly make that distinction. Like I said before, man, they don't. These Berbers do not rock with black folks. They don't rock with the blacks. They went to war with the blacks. You know what I'm saying? They enslaved the blacks. They still enslaving the blacks today. Look over there in the Sahara. These Berbers of the Sahara got these Haratine working for them, doing all the hard labor, uh, doing all the agricultural work that they feel like it's too good to do, and they take 2/3 of everything that these Haratine or these black African slaves or these Berbers produce. So, I mean, you can clearly see a distinction. You know what I'm saying? It's made genetically, it's made culturally and historically.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't really know what the brother was getting at. Let me see. I did a presentation. I'm getting into the habit of going back to presentations that I've already done to reference my slides because this shit is still good. Let me boot up. Let me boot up. Yeah, so talking about the images, this how they seen them. Hold on. Let me make this big so y'all can see. From the Table of Nations. They refer to them as the Libu. If I'm correct, is these four over here, right? If I'm correct,
Mm-hmm.
it might be these two over here. Okay, yeah. So this is how the Remets depicted these Libyans, these North Africans, these indigenous North Africans that were their neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And this is how they depicted the Black Africans and themselves, like more closely related to the Black Africans than these Libu or these Libyan Berbers. Like, you can see it in the culture and you can see the caste system in the culture. Prior to Islam's venture into Morocco, the concept of freedom was based more on the notion of protection from or freedom from outside encouraging a threat from other groups than on our modern sense of individual liberty. As such, freedom from external threats was created by bonds of alliance with particular tribal groups on the connection and the protection that a certain tribe could provide. Freedom then was established through tribal solidarity. Blacks interacted with Berbers both through trade and war. Individual blacks living in the land of the Berbers occupy either a marginal status, this is what I just said, these blacks living in the land of the Berbers, which is North Africa and the Sahara, they either occupy a marginal status, which is a servant or a slave, or dependent status, which is which would be a status through intermarriage or vassalage. Um, Berbers' racial attitudes towards blacks likely formed prior to the Arab conquest, when the Berbers of Sanhaja and Masmuda were forced to leave their homelands because of external invasions. So these racial contentions between Berbers and the blacks is before Islam. So we can't blame Islam. Berbers, victims of successive invasions by Romans, the Vandals, Byzantines, were forced to move south into areas predominantly inhabited by black people. Technologically superior as a result of their contact with different cultures and the use of the camel, Berbers most likely conquered black populations of the Sahara and assumed for themselves a superior status, subordinating blacks. Because blacks were different in their cultural and racial characteristics, a racial binary was in the making. Like, he's telling you, and there's a source in APA style. He's telling you that these people went to war, these people traded with these people, people went to war with these people, but these people, uh, referring to the Berbers, seen themselves as superior to these blacks. They don't mess with y'all, dog. Why y'all want to be them so bad? The Tuareg, this is the ones that they love to talk about the most. they got a very distinct social caste. You got the nobles, you got the religious lineages, you got the regular free common folk, and then you got the Haratine or the Equine or the Bella or the Bozo. They have different names um, in different geographical locations. Um, they're craftsmen, laborers who descend from former slaves, and you're gonna put an asterisk on that former slaves because in reality, some of them are still slaves. The craftsmen, bound agriculturalists. That means they bound to these people because they depended on them. Even in the video that I showed before on one of my presentations, like they say that they're free, but in their mind, in these Haratines or these E-clan mind, they like, where we gonna go? How we gonna get food? You've taken me away from my people, my family, my homeland for generations and generations and generations. Now because you have to let me free, not because of your own will. The laws of your geographical location say that you have to let me be free, but I don't have nowhere to go no more. I don't have a connection with those same people that I come from or that I came from. I don't have that connection with that indigenous tribe anymore. I don't have a place to go. I don't have food to eat. So therefore, by default, I have to stay with you and continue doing this work and reaping only 1/3 of the benefits. They are bound agriculturalists of non-Tuareg origin. They're part of the E-clan, the bottom of Tuareg society. So yes, these people are Tuareg because Tuareg is a culture. Berbers, these Berbers are an ethnic group. So yes, he's a Tuareg. He's not a Berber. I don't even want to play that. Last time I played that, they cut the shit off. So the equivalent of the Equine and the rest of North Africa is the Haratine. The Haratine are a social caste in several Northwest African countries, consisting of blacks, many of whom are former slaves in the northwestern Sahara lands of Mauritania, Morocco, and West Sahara. In Western Sahara, the term Haratine refers to a social caste of blacks whose low status is a legacy of slavery in Africa. Their low status is a legacy of slavery in Africa. Officially, the Haratine are black Moors. So these are the black Moors. These are the people who he would be. He want to be connected to this Moorish empire. But guess what? You're not a Berber. You're a sub-Saharan African. So you would have been descendants of these slaves. You would have been a Haratine. Your legacy would have been that of slavery. Officially, the Haratine are black Moors who are either the descendants of slaves or former slaves themselves. Let me rewind that. Officially, the Haratine are black Moors who are either descendants of slaves or former slaves themselves. Although slavery was formally abolished in Mauritania in 1960, 1960. And again in 1981, many Haratine remain subservient to their former masters. And that's not just what I said. Because they feel like where I'm gonna go, what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna support myself. You created a system of dependency. Now I depend on you. So if you let me go, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to live? How am I supposed to support myself? This is only a minute. Let me see if I can play this. Wait, rewind that. Bring it back. Damn. Oh, y'all can't hear it? Hold on. Let me do this right here.
Every morning while we were there, Tahe used to go out from Sidi Mohammed's camp to get what little milk she could from the goats. Tahe is descended from slaves that the Tuaregs brought back from the south or captured from slave caravans as they trekked across the desert on their way to the slave ports on the coast. Since Algerian independence in '62, the slaves have been free. Most of them have left the camps to work in the gardens or on the road, but some of the women have stayed, living as they always have done. It was hard enough for us to try and talk to them at all, but to try and talk to them about things in our kind of concepts, like slavery and freedom, is hopeless. They see things in terms of practical and economic reality. Where could I go to? Who would look after me? Who would feed me?
Right. So is that not what I said though? Is that not what I said? Like they are literally dependent on these people now. So even though they were supposedly formally, quote unquote, abolish slavery in the Sahara in 1960 and 1981, these people are really still slaves, yo. They can't go nowhere. I mean, they can, but where? And another Tuareg, a famous freedom fighter, leader, activist, scholar, negotiator. He led Tuareg rebellions. You know what I'm saying? So he's heavily invested. He's definitely a Tuareg. So what does he say? The Ecline, the slaves and the former slaves, black Africans that I just showed you, as we call them, they were more servants than slaves. You gotta sweeten it up. You gotta be a apologist a little bit. Their descendants are the Tuareg of black skin that we find amongst us today. So they saying all the black Tuaregs, all these sub-Saharan African Tuaregs, they are Ecline. They are slaves, servants, and former slave servants. This is why to designate ourselves, we prefer the name of Kel Tamashek. And if y'all familiar with any Berber presentations that I've done in the past, actually my first presentation I even did on Kofi Pasai TV was a Tuareg presentation. And I talked about this. Kel Tamashek, the people of the Tamashek language. Kel is people of. Tamashek is their indigenous language. So the people of the Tamashek language, those who speak the Tamashek language, Tuareg of clear, noble skin. So they make a distinction. These Tuareg Berbers, they make the distinction between themselves and these Ecline, which would be sub-Saharan black Africans. You see what I'm saying? Nobody does this, but these African Americans that want to be considered as Berbers. Another popular group of Berbers of the Sahara are the Sanhaja. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sanhaja, but if you know anything about the Almoravids, the Berber movement that came out of Sahara, all the brothers back. Okay, what's up? That's good. That's good. Peace, bro.
Peace, peace. Got hooked up on Wi-Fi plane.
Okay, so let me go back. Yeah, we went through a couple of the sources after you left, but I know we was talking about Berbers as well. So I showed the people this, the genetic history of North Africa. Now we know Berbers are indigenous North Africans. And it says a recent genetic study published in the European Journal of Human Genetics and Nature. It was done in 2019. Showed that Northern Africans are closely related to Europeans and West Asians, as well as Southwest Asians. Northern Africans can be clearly distinguished from West Africans and other African populations dwelling south of the Sahara. See, this is why. See, you say you don't limit yourself to sub-Saharan Africa, but it's not that we limit ourselves to sub-Saharan Africa. This is our people. Those people above in the Sahara and above the Sahara are not our people. They're not associated with us. We done business and we went to war, but those people always seen themselves as superior to us. We know that. So they make a distinction culturally, and there's a distinction genetically. These people definitely are not us. These Berbers that we're speaking of. And these Berbers that we're speaking of are mainly the ones that ran up in the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD and did they thing. That group of people were primarily Berbers. They were not us. Now we did come later, but we came in the capacity as slaves and servants, in slave armies, etc., being products of the Barbary Coast slave market. We didn't come and rule and take over nothing. It's romanticism, but it sounds good. So go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let you get your rocks off. I gotta run to the refrigerator real quick, grab me a water.
Well, I don't put much stock in the DNA going back 1,000 years. I'm at it because by the time you go back that many generations, you have like hundreds of ancestors. It gets so diluted. Now, as far as determining if a child is yours or not, yeah, that's a direct link, right? So it's practical in that sense. It's such a limited scope. And one thing those DNA studies don't take into account is the migration of people. People don't just sit in one spot. They move around, they travel. Ain't nothing new under the sun. We still doing the same things, just different technology. The works of Dana Reynolds Marnici has blew that out the water. I would invite, if y'all not familiar with her works, check out her works. Uh, I encourage people to check out the sister's work. Dana Reynolds Marnici, she is debunking, proving who those ancient Berbers really were and who the people of the Maghreb really were. So, if, like I said, if you're not familiar with her works, she is proving that who is who, what is what. She could do so much more eloquently than I. Uh, I'm curious to see what other sources y'all touched on, but I'd love to see what y'all have to say about all the dictionary entries, about the plethora of other sources I put in there. You know, um, and again, better alternative. You can't take away a solution without having a better solution. That's just general.
Hey, I wanted to speak to that, brother, because you mentioned that before you got off initially, before you were able to get back on. You mentioned, like, you brought up this solution to economics, and you're talking about, you mentioned how, kids are, they're not having all the resources, and you mentioned the poverty parts of the Black struggle and things like that. But what I want to say is, I keep going back to the actual culture of sub-Saharan West Africa and, and the business that I've been doing with people for the last 12 years here in Chicago. And as a West African performing and teaching artist, I specialize in West Africa, particularly coastal West Africa, where I had originally was sharing my screen and was giving some examples. I think you had hopped off, but so we've been doing business with West Africans for a while, for as long as they've been coming over here teaching drum and dance from that region, and we don't have um like we're not lacking anything because we're not subscribing to the information and narrative and pieces of a puzzle that you've made for yourself. Um, there's nothing wrong if that's what you claim for yourself, but I think Sister CK put in the chat. People say those things till they take the test, right? And how science works when it comes to DNA. It's not about what you accept, what you want it to be, if you believe in it. Um, like science is a whole nother ball game when it comes to genetics, when it comes to understanding that yes, you can go back and be accurate. You can't just hundreds of years because of migration. Died in northern Africa, Morocco, Mauritania, Algeria. Genetics show similarities with people from areas such as Spain. DNA markers of people, Mali, Guinea, Ivory Coast, Benin, right? Liberia, Sierra Leone. These are the places, the Gambia, that all of that is where we have genetic markers linking us to. That's where we go. And it's not that because we take one DNA test company that we know that that's the deal, because whatever DNA test company we want to get, any person in this quote unquote conscious community, or any person period on the planet that gets their DNA tested, that's an African American, their DNA is coming back primarily 85% sub-Saharan West African. And so with that said, genetically, that you can't just outrule that because some lady said it, or some author said it, or some person that you agree with that agrees with what you subscribe to. Once again, it's okay if you subscribe to that for yourself. But I see Brother Sutek back. If you want to go ahead and pull up what you was just reading, or I don't know how you want to.
You want me to pull the North African genetic history back up?
Yeah. Or that article with the ecline and the what you just had up.
Hold on, let me see.
Real quick. The sister doesn't just say it. She has many sources. You can try to pull up her website. Shoot to you in a link. Sister Noreen Marnichi. She's an anthropologist. She's a scientist. Emotional rhetoric is not conjecture. It's fact.
So
you talking about Dana Marnichi? I had even when I stepped away, I had my headphones on so I could hear. Like you talking about Dana Reynolds Marnichi, but bro, she tries to incorporate mythological characters into history. Also, you know that, right? We talking about history. She pulling out Ham and Abraham and Moses and all that. Like you do know that, right? Yeah. Also, we ain't like I said. Like when you put the Dr. Ben quote in the back yesterday. Like we don't personality worship. So I don't have a problem. Like I love Dr. Ben like the next person, but I don't have a problem saying Dr. Ben was wrong on a certain subject or a point that he was wrong on. And then he said we were Moors. He was just wrong. You have to demonstrate.
I don't.
It's
not based on her personality or looks or she and the sister has. As with anybody, eat the fish, throw away the bones. It's been years since I read it. But reading Sheik Anta Diop's Civilization and Lord is a Civilization, Myth, Reality. He starts out using biblical references. Like it's only so far back people can go without referencing biblical, quote unquote biblical references to explain the migration, early migration. A lot of times, those are first-hand accounts from the people of those areas, and they say they descended from those individuals. So, eat the fish, throw away the bones.
Yeah, they gon' say that though. They gonna say that it's a part of their cultural creation story, their cultural mythology. If I go to the Yoruba, they gonna say they descended from Oduduwa.
Black. Have y'all pulled that?
Say it again. You was breaking out. Say it again, bro. You was breaking out.
I don't know if the brother can hear you, but facts, Ray, Berbers are not our people. Like what I was getting at, talking about the culture that we're learning about from these areas of West Africa, sub-Saharan West Africa, they're not looking like people who with the wraps all on their head like that. They don't look like that. These people are down there and they have their traditional dress on. The brother Tariq, you're not familiar with the ethnic groups that I brought up the last time we were on the bill. You're not familiar with these people. You're not familiar with Mandinka culture. And so this is the majority of the people in the populations of areas that you're talking about with that all of the Berbers encompass North, what you call Southwest Africa, which is just referred to as West Africa or Sub-Saharan West Africa. Southwest Africa will be in Ndongo territory, down there with Queen Njinga and her historical, and things like that, where Capoeira, Regional originally comes from. Now, West Africa is split up with Sub-Saharan and Saharan. And I'm telling you, Mali and all of those places, we're not practicing, looking, nor DNA being anything like what you call Berbers, Moors, an amalgamated ethnicity of people that subscribe to that title. That's not even how those people get down when they name themselves. Sutek said it last time. We've been saying it, how they name themselves. You got specific kind of Mandinka people. It's not just one type of Mandinka people. Just like it ain't just one type of black person in America. It ain't the one type of black person in your city. You probably got 5 different kind of black people living on your block. One of them uppity, one of them ghetto, one of them this, one of them that, and one of them got a little bit of everything. It's probably you. Intelligent, but you will get hood with somebody. I already know. But we can't go around putting our narrative as because of what I believe, what I want to be, or I take information, read it or subscribe to it, whether it be factual or not, and I choose it to be factual. That's okay. But I can't go around projecting my narrative on other people and their culture and talk about what those people are. That would be the equivalent of me talking about how people get down in the bayou down in New Orleans and different things like that. I'm not well versed on local history and culture and norms. I know about Mardi Gras, obviously, and Carnival and performance and things like that, and those type of aspects of the culture. But I haven't lived in the bayou. I'm not from New Orleans. So for me to talk about that the culture will be the same, we all Chi-Town type of people, all up and down America. That will be the equivalent, and that's just not true. You got different kind of people in Chi-Town in New York, then Memphis, then Cali, Texas. It's different kind of black people within those cities. So we can't just, oh, these are all these kind of people. Those people do not look like us. And for years I've been learning from these West Africans drum and dance, and they don't come over here dressed like that. The lapas that we sell at the dance classes weekly and at conferences, the regalia that we wear when we perform, I've never put that on to perform West African anything, bro. Period. I have West African garb right here in my closet. I got West African pants right here in this bag next to me. We don't dress like that, bro. It's North Saharan, Northwest African culture is different, which is not even straight African culture. It's the mixture of people that's up there. We just keep saying Africa because it's the landmass, but the culture is not even. It doesn't mirror or reflect anything else on the continent like that. It just doesn't. So I'm just saying, whatever books you're reading, whatever author you subscribe to, bro, my reality ain't such. I don't have none of that in my closet right now. My drums don't have none of those inscriptions and carvings. You don't speak the language. You're not familiar. Now I will say this: Islam is definitely entrenched in there because obviously the Arabs, we already know that story, right? We know that, but they're not practicing Orthodox Islam. But even then, when they're observing certain holidays, the end of Ramadan, the Tabaski festival, they're playing djembe at the end of that. So they're still going back to being their old set, like who they are. And they don't really stop being themselves. They continue. They practice things simultaneously, but they don't identify as being Moors. They are Malinke people. They are Susu people, Bambara people. They know nothing of this Moor thing. Like, what's a Moor? They're gonna look at you like you're crazy.
So what nation are these tribes from that you're referencing?
What nation are they from? They don't. But okay, let me give you an example. Balandu, Northwest Guinea. I mean, Northeast Guinea, southwest of Mali. You know what? Let me go ahead and pull the little map back up or whatever. Let me go to a different map. Maybe it was that map that was about. Now, because when we
What
can see, here's the thing about language. I ain't even touched on the language aspect of this conversation. But, you know, when we start talking about the word nationality and a nation like that, especially when we speak in English, we know we speak in post-colonization anyway. Let me see something. Why is it not being clear? Um, Malinke people, the countries like Guinea, Ivory Coast, Gambia, Senegal, Mali. Let's just stay with one ethnic group so that we can keep the conversation with people and be all over the place. We're gonna stick with one ethnic group, Malinke. All right, Malinke are Guinean, Malian, Ivorian, Gambian, Senegalese, Liberians, Yon, all those kind of play. Even parts of Burkina Faso, you can get some Malinke. That's generally where they're from. Okay, they're part of the meta ethnic of the Mande people, right? So, as a matter of fact, so what you was on, brother?
I was gonna say, and just like I said last time, like you're referencing tribes, right? So, but these tribes, they're part of a nation. So if that's what you rock with, that's what you
Yeah, you
resonate
must have
with, that's
froze
what
up
you.
for that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Can I,
yeah.
let me see
They,
hold on. Let me do this.
brother Sutek, when
Um,
you get a chance, man, can you pull up that map I sent you that shows the continent of Africa and it has it highlighted what part was the Moorish Empire. And here's what I'll say about that. Like it's everybody's God given right to identify how they want to, right? I can't tell you just to call yourself your boy. You're a man. You can identify how you choose. But I will advise that if if you're not, you should. I would recommend be or identify as Ghanaian American, like African
can
American
you
is not suitable.
can you see my screen, brother? Can anybody see my screen?
No, we cannot, brother.
Oh, hold on. Let me put it up.
I mean, because what you're saying
You
is
good?
it still doesn't make these people subscribe to what you're saying. They don't belong to that nationality that you're talking about. They don't have that concept. I explained to you that you don't speak the language, so you're just gonna argue with me about something when you don't speak the language and you don't know about these people. You don't know that they exist until I bring them to your attention. You don't know their customs and traditions until I bring it to your attention, brother. So what I'm saying is they don't subscribe to this greater nationality that you're talking about. The Bambara people are Bambara. They got their own flavor going on, bro. Malinke are Malinke. They do what they do. They don't subscribe. If anything that they attach them to greater than themselves is the Bambara people, because they're a branch off of them anyway. They're like sister peoples. You see what I'm saying? So they're more they have customs and traditions close to them, and to the Guro in the south, in the Ivory Coast, deep in the Wula, and you know what I'm saying, to the west with the Baga people off the coast, where modern day the capital Conakry is. Like, let me go over here to this. It says, what kind of people are the Mande people, right? So the Mandinka or Malinke people are a western branch of the Mande, are credited with the founding of the largest ancient West African empires. Other large Mande groups include the Soninke, Susu, right, Bambara, and Yula. Smaller groups include the Ligbi, Bai, and Bisa. Mande people inhabit various environments, from coastal rainforests to the sparse Sahel. Now, I said meta ethnicity. I want to define that. A meta ethnicity is a relatively recent term or neologism occasionally used in the academic literature or public discourse on ethnic studies. It describes a level of commonality that is wider, meta, and more general. Example might differ on specifics than ethnicity, but does not necessarily correspond to. And it continues. So basically, it's so what the meta ethnicity right here is all of this. That's the meta ethnicity. And other groups included that's not mentioned. Because you got the Sur peoples in Senegal and the Senegambian region. You got various different types of people in Senegal, in all of these other places. These are the most popular known groups, bro. So what I'm saying is we have a different understanding down here in sub-Saharan West Africa where we specialize in and what we talk about. Like they don't subscribe to being a part of a Moorish or nationality or ethnicity that's a nationality, like none of that. Bambara people call themselves Bambara. They have their own gods and concepts and traditions and rituals, everything, bro. You hold on, let me pull up the some garb.
brother. At what point did I state that every single Moor or every country and tribe in the Moroccan Empire had the exact same traditions, cultures, practices, religious beliefs, etc.? I never stated that.
I didn't say you did. I didn't say you did, bro. I
You're
said
saying you're saying they have different cultures,
I'm saying in sub-Saharan West
and
Africa.
mind you,
But can I tell you what I'm saying? Because I know I was clear with what I said. Bambara people, Malinke people. I got two drums sitting right here in my face, bro. I know my culture from that part of West Africa. All right. We was playing them drums being brought over here on them ships. We got our feet cut off for them drums, necks sliced. We got beat whipped on our backs. All types of things went down. Then they let us have them back after a while here in the South. And then we started using them to signal the revolts of when it was time to go ahead and get the hell off the plantation. Mande culture is deeply entrenched in my veins, brother. It runs deep. It's it's the way Harriet Tubman was able to lead the people by signaling them drums. That's how the revolts happened here. So what I'm saying is, we ain't talking about being no part of no larger nationality. No, it wasn't that, bro. It wasn't that. Do you have people who mixed in? Sure. Sure, some people will migrate up there to the other parts, not like in no mass droves. I'm not gonna sit here and act like that. Like, did no human beings interact with the Berbers? No, Berbers are a mixture of people themselves, an amalgamation of people. So what I'm saying is that part of West Africa, bro, don't project that on that, because that's not what the history says. None of the information online says that that's what those people, that they subscribe to that. They are their own people.
So identifies that then, brother. I'll give you the recommendation to identify as that then. Whatever tribe or nation that is, that's how our people should identify that subscribe to what you subscribe to. Because
I don't
again,
subscribe. See, that's the
they're
problem.
legal.
That's the problem. I don't subscribe to. I don't have this belief system like that, bro. I just practice my culture. It's not like, oh, I choose to believe in this. I can't be a straight Guinean from West Africa, a straight Malinke from Balandugu village. No, I can't. I'm not gonna identify as that. I have that in my veins. So I am what I am here, a new type of African. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm amalgamated with all of those West African tribes via the slave trade, and out comes me generations later. So now I'm not straight Malinke. So I can't just identify as that. It's not a one-stop shop. Just like the Berbers are amalgamated, we're amalgamated over here, but with sub-Saharan DNA. So now all of the Ghanaian blood and the Nigerian blood and the Malinke blood and all of that mixes in, and you get a Sutek, a T'Challa, Sutek Ra. You know what I'm saying? Most of the people in the chat, that's what you get.
Let me ask you this: you go back 1,000 years. How many great grandparents or whatever is in that generation 1,000 years ago? That's why, and it doesn't account for the migration of people. So we put too much weight on that DNA, and then DNA and being
Hold on.
citizens.
Explain that, bro.
Hold on, let me finish.
Explain that, because
Go ahead. Well,
can
what
you
I'm saying
explain that
is,
though? Like you said
yes,
it already.
okay, I'll break it down. Because you have two parents, right? Then when you go to your grandparents, you have four of those. You go back another generation, it keeps multiplying and multiplying. So you go back enough generations, you got 1,000 people that contributed to your bloodline. You see what I'm saying? So that sample is diluted. But it's very hard to use that to say this is who we are.
Wait a minute. What is being diluted, bro? What is being diluted? Because I don't think you understand DNA. I don't think you understand DNA, bro. You Yo, I'm looking at the chat now. I'm
I
mad.
may
Yo, like
I may have used
I'm
the
about to
wrong
speak some
term,
patois on here
diluted,
in
but
a
what
minute,
I'm saying
because
is, again, go back 10 generations. How many grandparents or whatever you would call that do you have? It just increases exponentially every time. It goes from 4, 8, 16, and continues to grow and grow by generation. And people move. That doesn't
so the amount of people
account
is
for the migration of people.
wait a minute, brother. Amount of people. Hold on. Just because there's more people, that doesn't mean that the bloodline is diluted, bro. Again, if you haven't gotten your DNA test done, then it's really like, ask any African American that gets their DNA test, where does it say it come back of where their ancestors, where their lineage is? It ain't from Morocco. It ain't from Algeria. It ain't from those areas up there, bro. And we going back. Do you know how old Malinke culture is? Just Djembe alone goes back to the year 1000, around the year 1100, like you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the 11th century, around the year 1000. So to the 11th century, this is who we are. Like, there's no confusion, bro. There's no confusion.
I do not have the files to prove this. You can take me at my word or not. But this is facts. Hold on.
So at this point, it kind of sounds like you want to believe because you hit us with a blog spot article. Then you hit us, which this blog spot article was using other blog spot articles, YouTube clips. It was poorly sourced. Used people like David McRitchie, who is basically as Sean showed, a folklorist. Also, Dana Marnici, who's using mythological characters as a part of history. But you don't accept science, right? That's crazy. So at this point, it sounds like you want to believe. You're a believer. Which, I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. If you want to believe, that's cool. But and like you were saying, like everybody got their own right to identify with whatever they want to identify with. But when you start saying that this whole entire group of people, that's why I step in. That's where we step in at, because it's already an identity crisis. And we will never be able to unify in the capacity that we need to if we don't know who the hell we are.
It's not belief, brother. And I believe I understand science, and I'm not saying science is not valid. What I'm saying is, for one, again, there's many strong, undeniable sources, including the dictionary. I'm gonna keep coming back to that. That will tell you so-called Negroes are Moors. It's a plethora of dictionary. It's all throughout the dictionary. So you can't
Can I
say
share my
it's
screen one more time, bro, while you talking?
Go ahead.
Yeah, show you. So again, and I'm glad you brought it up. We need to solve the identity crisis. That means, to me, I hear that. That says to me, we need to find the best identity for our people, for us to unite under. Do you have a suitable, a better, more advantageous identity than Moore?
Well, my people, when I say my people, I'm talking about us here in America that went through this same traumatic event known as American slavery. We identify as African Americans. We already have an identity. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, some people do, and I mean, some people they make good points about it, but I don't see a problem with it. So we kind of already have an identity. The ethnic group that we're talking about here is called African Americans.
Okay, brother. Do you understand that legally that equates to me and black?
That equates to what?
Negro and black legally.
I know that it equates to African American, and if it did equate to Negro and black, like, so what? Well, I mean, what's your point? I don't get it.
Now, this is not me talking about my people. This is me talking about the label that was put on my people. We have to understand the difference, because I mean no disrespect when I say this. Again, when I talk about my people, I'm talking about the label.
Right.
That label was given to us via slavery, and that's what it equates to legally.
So
we're walking in a room saying that we want to be treated as free people. We are free people, but we're identifying with titles that allude to slavery. That That is unacceptable. We need a
Are
name.
you talking about you talking about like a couple hundred years ago? Because that don't work for today. That don't work for today. Maybe in the 1920s or something.
We've been bombing
Nah.
for a long time.
Can you say that last part again? We've been what for a long time?
He said we've been Bambara for a long time.
We've been these people that I talk. Like, cause you keep mentioning
Okay,
1,000 years ago, and that's right in the time frame of what I'm talking about. Like, we're not mentioning none of what you're saying 1,000 years ago in our histories, bro.
Okay, you're misinterpreting my intent. What I'm saying. What I'm saying is, today, identify being on the record as Negro, Black, Colored, African American,
Today,
etc. Those are titles that allude to slavery. That is an absolute fact. If I was at home and had my library, I could show you in the legal dictionary how I'm connecting those dots. And also reference Federal Directive 15. And it shows you what it means when you're putting black down on a piece of paper. When you're identifying or African American. Same thing. It equals the same thing in law, right? So we have to read Federal Directive 15 and see what these things mean when we put them down. And all of the definitions on Federal Directive 15, it tells you what it means when you say white, black, Asian, and Indian. All these terms says the original peoples of XYZ land. Black is the only one that doesn't say original nothing. It just says belonging to the black racial groups of Africa. And if you put two and two together with the historical records, the case law, etc., you'll see that that's what they talk about. You weren't labeled black until you were enslaved. That is a fact. All those tribes you name off so eloquently, brother, they were not called black people until they got snatched up and put on that boat. So what I'm saying is let's connect ourselves. Let's connect ourselves back to how our ancestors identified themselves.
And that's what I'm doing.
With
Malinke, they didn't call themselves Moors. They're not calling themselves that. They're calling themselves Malinke. They're calling themselves Bambara. They're calling themselves Tusu. That's what we are. That's what we refer to them as. Our brothers and sisters in Gambia, who we have a show when we're talking to them. It was like 4 a.m. or something crazy like that over there. And they did an interview with us, bro. Not one of them mentioned nothing about what you're talking about today. They identify as being Mandinka and Wolof over there. And it doesn't matter they're being called in English. Let me ask you this. Are you versed in any other language other than English? Because you keep mentioning the law and the dictionary, but it's like you don't deal with no language outside of English, so you only have the English interpretation of the word black.
Where do you live? What rules apply to your day-to-day life? The law in Africa doesn't relegate your day-to-day activities over here. You're living under the United States jurisprudence every day. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to be living in this legal system.
Wait. You didn't know. I'm not going to let you do that. I asked you a question. I ain't say nothing about none of that, bro. I asked you a question.
Okay, ask your question again. It was breaking up. Go ahead.
How many languages are you trying to study? Are you trying to know? Do you want to speak? How many languages are you fluent in?
I'm only fluent in English. I'm studying Spanish, and after that, I will start to learn Arabic.
Okay. No indigenous West African of any sort tongue in the list so far. No problem. Right. So what happens is your whole understanding worldview is based on that information, English, because everything you read is coming from an English dictionary at this point, because it's the only language you speak and deal with. That's the only understanding that you have. You don't literally participate in West African drum and dance to know the culture history, to know that that's not whatever we want to call ourselves here and what we're defined as in the law. I know plenty 5%ers that's doing time. There's plenty of people who are Christian doing time, who Hebrew Israelites doing time, whatever other sect of Islam that they subscribe to, they're doing time, all the same. So it's not advantageous to call myself a Moor while I'm locked up in the prison. That I don't get, the name is stripped away from you. You get a number. They don't care what you call yourself. You could be Moor, Schmore, Door, and that's no disrespect to you. But what I'm saying is they will whoop you upside your head all the same, even out here on these streets. Doggone
Show
police
me.
bug me and Dunkin'
Show,
Donuts.
like, I don't know why you brought up jail and all that,
I brought it up
but
because you keep saying I explained why I brought it up, bro. So listening comprehension is something that I'm gonna ask you to just practice, and I'm not being funny.
law
No, I brought it
governs
up.
all
I
events.
brought it up. I brought it up to say once again that it's not, because you keep saying it's advantageous. What, name me a title that's more advantageous, as if a title is gonna stop this policeman that mugged me down in Dunkin' Donuts earlier, that would have stopped him if he wanted to whip out his baton and go upside my dome. There would be nothing I could do about that. Okay? He don't care what I call myself. If he decide to go upside my dome and practice police brutality, that's what he decide to practice. If he decide to not go upside my dome, that's his choice. My title ain't finna change that. It ain't advantageous to be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, over anything else when it comes to that. They don't care about what they listening to this right now, laughing. YouTube monitoring, they like, man, they arguing about what to call themselves, and look at the so I agree with you with the economic situation of black people needs to be better. Our overall situation needs to be better, but calling ourselves more ain't gonna increase that. I don't know not one person, you know what I'm saying, that I've seen in my communities right here where I live at, bro, that's better off because he called himself a Moor. I got Moors across the street from me, bro. And guess what? They spice it in a mug around there across the street. It's man, Joe. It's ashy, bro. Right across the street. That's all I'm gonna say. And I know them, bro. I go to the gym with these brothers, bro. He say he indigenous. He indigenous to America. That's what kind of more he is. He indigenous to America. He always been here. And I'm looking at this brother. I'm like, okay, well, he came up to me in the gym on that one day. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, cool. I rock Afrocentric gear. I wear, red, yellow, and green a lot. So I'm telling you that I know these people in person, different kind of Moors from all understandings, and they ashy than a mama jamma, bro. I promise you that. Hurting. And I'm not saying that I'm over here balling, driving a Mercedes Benz and all of that. I'm just letting you know, because I'm definitely not, that they in a worse predicament, bro. Thinking that that's gonna get them ahead, because he brother still can't get a job. Not to put him out there like that, but I'm just saying, still can't get a job because of the choices that he made. And those that's not in that situation, they ain't doing that much better than any other black person, any other African,
Brother,
any other quote unquote Moor, or any of that, bro. They not.
brother, to say if it didn't matter what we call ourselves, they would have never stripped us of our nationality.
Don't
If it
chop
didn't
me
matter,
up.
they would
Put
have
it in
took it from
context of
us.
what I said. Don't chop it up. No, don't chop it up. I said it doesn't matter what we call ourselves or what they're gonna call us in terms of our predicament. There are no extra tax dollars taken off my ComEd bill because I call myself a Moor. I don't
Yeah,
pay any less taxes on a gallon of milk because I call myself a Moor. You want to talk about advantageous in my everyday life? That was advantageous to me. How much money off
niggas,
my rent? How much money off my rent can I get calling myself a Moor? You talk about how much money gonna be taken off my rent, and I'll put down more schmore anybody else's door
to get some taxes taken off anything that I gotta pay monthly, just like you do, bro. You had to pay for that flight, and you didn't get a discount because you was a Moor.
Hey, I'm being who I am. It has nothing to do with getting a discount. But I'll say this: more is not, or any identity is not a force field. If someone looks at you and wants to harm you, that's what they're going to attempt to do, whether it's a citizen, whether they have a badge, whatever. I'm not one of these brothers that says that's naive to say, start calling yourself a Moor, and all of a sudden it's champagne and bubbles and life is sweet. That's the fixing your identity, correcting your identity is the start of it. That's the beginning of doing what we need to do. It doesn't fix everything. It doesn't just give you everything free. But what it does is it connects you with your ancestors and lets you know where you at, what's going on. These
I
Europeans
already do that, bro. I already
I
do
feel
that.
you. I feel, let me speak. Let me speak, fam. I'll let you build. I didn't say you weren't, brother. I didn't say you weren't. So what it does for me, it lets me know exactly what's going on. This is, in my opinion, a continuation of Crusades. What they doing, how they move. If you look at the timeline, after they defeated the Moors, they come straight into West Africa, snatching us up under the Papal Bulls and all that. So it's all connected. But I understand that. So I don't cry about white supremacy. I understand that, you know what I mean? It's a war that's really been going on since Hannibal, since Carthage and Rome. It's a continuation. It's going to continue. But we forgot, our people have forgot that fact, you know, by force. So no, more is not a force field. It's not going to automatically fix your life. But that's just what it is the start of it. And we have to know, no matter how you identify, you need to know the law because that's the rules of society. That's like stepping out on basketball court, not knowing the rules. Or no, it's like stepping onto a football field, not knowing the rules. You try to dribble the ball, you get tackled and you yell foul and racism. You have to know the rules to the game, no matter how you identify yourself. And it is a fact that, but in the courtroom, more makes all the difference in the world versus Negro, Black, Colored, African American. It does, because you are guaranteed equal protections via Article 6 of the Constitution and the treaties.
Brother,
It's
what I'm telling you
it's a
is I know
superior. It's a
people that
superior.
didn't help.
Hold on. I'll let you build for a minute, fam. It's it's peoples of all calibers under every identity, every nationality. It's Chinese people that are bums, Chinese people that are affluent, and then there's Chinese people all in between. What we're doing is equivalent to a Chinese man saying, "I'm not Chinese, I'm yellow," sticking with these colors and these or Asian American. That's BS, man.
That's what they do,
Nationality
though,
is a
bro. No, wait, hold on.
nationality is the
Hold
order of the
on,
day,
bro. Hold on.
not in a legal capacity.
You're not being
Not in a
true
legal
to
capacity, fam.
people identify with their
They don't.
culture. They don't just say that they're all Chinese, bro. I know Chinese people. I know Japanese people. They don't just identify as, oh, I'm just Japanese or I'm just this. They got different dialects, bro. They
I
don't even speak
understand that. I
the
didn't.
same Dutch. So that means that they
I,
can't identify as just
I
that
didn't
only.
say they
Like,
didn't,
no,
bro.
bro.
I
They
didn't
don't do
say
that,
they
is
didn't,
what I'm
bro.
saying.
I'm
They
saying
don't
they
do
don't
that.
call themselves colors. I'm saying they don't call
Bro,
themselves colors.
yeah, actually, it's a lot of colorism amongst the Chinese community, amongst the Asian community, period. The Chinese don't like Laotians. They look at Laotians like niggas, like us. You see what I'm saying? Like how
I,
Europeans look at us. That's how they
I'm
look at
not
them.
refuting that. I'm not refuting that. What I'm saying is, when they are
And West
conducting
Africans
themselves in the
call
legal,
themselves West Africans, bro. They
dig
don't.
this, brother. What I'm saying is, when they're conducting themselves in a legal and political capacity, they're not referring to themselves using generic terms. They're specific in official legal capacities. We need to do the same.
Bro, have you ever been to court with somebody who's of the Malinke heritage? He's gonna
No, I
say
have
he's
not.
Malinke. He's gonna be Malinke, bro.
No,
That's what he's gonna say. I'm from Guinea.
Listen, listen. What I'm talking about, brother, is our people over here who have had that stripped from them.
Then we no.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
so
talking
right, so
about.
we can deal with that. What I'm saying is because we've been all over the place. You mentioned how Chinese don't identify themselves. I done took enough of them from Chinatown to O'Hare Airport and back to know how they identify. Not to mention I get down with studying the arts. You know what I'm saying? With understanding the culture inside and out, from Zen Buddhism, tracing Buddha from India all the way to the Okinawan dojos in Japan. Like, bro,
They tell you they was
I
Chinese
study
or
some Asian
Asian
culture.
American.
So they don't just identify like, oh,
I
say that
guarantee you
again.
they didn't tell you. I'm pretty sure they did not tell you they were just Asian American and left it at that. When they didn't tell you they were yellow either.
I didn't say that they did. I never brought up Asian American. What I'm saying is they
I'm
told me
bringing it up because
specifically because you said they don't identify as the tribe. They won't identify as a specific tribe or whatever. They're gonna identify as
I didn't
Chinese.
say that.
And
I didn't say they wouldn't identify as
you,
their tribe, brother. You misheard me. What
okay,
what
bro.
I'm saying
Okay.
was
Well, we'll
they
say
don't call
we'll say that
themselves.
I never said that they
What
called
I'm saying
themselves Asian
is
American, bro. I'm not saying
what
that.
I'm saying is okay, but what I'm saying, I just used that as an example to say as a metaphor for what we're doing. We're calling ourselves African American is equivalent of them calling themselves Asian American. Us calling ourselves black is equivalent of them calling themselves yellow. That doesn't cut it in a political and legal arena, is what I'm saying.
Actually, bro, it's not. Black is not just an adjective. Just because it may have started as an adjective, that's called an etymological fallacy. Just because something started in a certain way, that doesn't mean that that's the way that we have to use that term or that word today. That's an etymological fallacy, bro. And no, Asian American is not like African American. Nobody in the world has been through this plight that we've been through. You see what I'm saying? Like
I didn't
we
say
we
that.
don't
Comparing
have
apples
we
to
don't
oranges now.
okay, but if you let me finish, you'll understand. We don't see any other group of people being brought from a continent to a whole different continent across the sea, across the ocean, and stripped of their history, their ethnic group, their language, and their culture. So collectively, we are an amalgamation of different West and Central African tribes. So, what do you call? I'm gonna use when a Danish moves. So, what do you call a Yoruba woman? What do you call the son of a Yoruba woman and an Igbo man? What do you call it?
Or more.
Do they call themselves Moors? Because I've been
That's
asking
what
that
I would
question
call them.
for. But we're not worried about what you call them. They have their own identity. That's disrespectful to try to superimpose an identity on a people just because you want that to be what they are. That's what Europeans do. And we see that historically, starting with the word Ethiopian. That was a general broad term that
Hmm.
Europeans labeled on black Africans. And that was the same thing. That was the same type of concept that Europeans used with this term more. It was a broad, sweeping label. And we got that. I'm not even going to say we, because we didn't get that. Those people that are called Moors, they got that through slavery as well, especially the black ones. So just like you're saying, black people got this through the term black through slavery. Black Moors, they got that term through slavery as well.
Brother, I agree, and you're preaching to the choir as with our plights being totally different, being stripped of your nationality and all that. Slavery has always existed, but ours is unique because of being stripped of our history, nationality, ethnicity. So you preaching to the choir on that. I was only keeping it at that level of, I didn't say they went through the same things we went to. I'm saying, and we have a better excuse than they would if they did call themselves Asian Americans. But I was just
That's the
making that
point.
equivalency of course, and I'm not arguing that, brother. I agree with you 100% on that. I was only trying to highlight the fact that we need a more suitable political and identity that stands up and is adequate in the political and legal arena. That's all I was saying. I wasn't saying they've had the same struggle and all that. No way. I'd be
Right,
a
right,
fool to say that. So yeah, you preaching to the choir on that. But what I'm
right, right. I get what you're saying though about the but my issue is this: if the term black, Negro, color, African American, any of that was an issue, then we will all be locked up. We will all be slaves, right? Where is this slavery? Show me these black people being locked up because they identify themselves as black or African American or Negro or color or whatever the situation is. Show me that. I don't
every
want a metaphorical. I don't want a
mhm,
symbolic. I want like literal slavery. This is what we're talking about, right?
every brother that got 10 years for the same crime a European would have got 2 years for is an example of that.
So
All it
Jail
is.
now we
is the
playing
modern
a
day slavery.
we
Jail is the
playing a
modern day
game
slavery.
now. We playing a game now. These people got locked up for committing a crime. Supposedly, maybe they didn't commit a crime, but they didn't get locked up because they identified themselves as black, Negro, colored, and not
No,
more.
no, because the 14th Amendment gives you certain
Just as a reminder,
privileges and
ladies and gentlemen,
protections.
we are.
Right. So you just admitted yourself that don't matter no more. That's canceled out. You just admitted that yourself. The 14th Amendment canceled that out.
I wouldn't say it canceled it out. It's still a title that deludes to slavery that we should have got rid of with the 13th Amendment.
Bro, with
Part
all
of
of
the
this,
13th Amendment and emancipation was to get rid of the badges, vestitures, and titles that delude to slavery. And we have
this
yet to do
obsession,
that. And it still leads to second class citizenship. And if somebody needs me to try to prove that so-called black people in this country are second-class citizens, and I don't know what to tell you because you living under a rock, then if you don't understand that.
I
bro,
want
it
you to
ain't that
prove
much.
it, but hold on one second, T'Challa. I want you to prove it, but I want you to prove they're second class citizens because they identified themselves as black, not because of actually who they are racially, but because they identified themselves with these specific terms. And on the opposing end, I want you to show these people that look like me and you, of our people, calling themselves Moors that don't have this problem. I want you to show both ends of the spectrum. But yeah, go ahead, T'Challa.
I was just gonna say that the obsession over, like, first of all, I'm not gonna say that you assume that I'm ignorant of the law, but I'm not ignorant of the law. Like, just because I don't subscribe to being a Moor, or saying that you saying that, but just because I'm not subscribing to that narrative, it doesn't mean that I'm not informed, brother. I'm very informed of the world that I live in. Never knowing everything, it's impossible, but I'm informed. And what's really more important than to get concerned over these English terms in the English language, only speaking in the mother tongue of people in the what we call the Americas, it's their mother tongue English. Like, you got to understand different perspectives, study enough different cultures to understand that trying to us create an advantageous situation, speculating about creating an advantageous situation off of a title and defined in the court of law. It don't work like that, bro. When I talk about it, don't matter what they call us. It doesn't. They have called us Negro, nigger, black, jigaboo, Junebug, you name it. It doesn't matter. They have treated us the same, they being those who practice racism, white supremacy. Because I want to define that, because everybody talk about they, but they don't get specific. I'm talking about those that practice it. It could be a black person. It could be an Indian person. It don't matter. But we've been treated the same way, not because of what we calling ourselves in the court of law or outside the court of law. We've been treated how we've been treated because of where we come from, what we look like, and our heritage. The papal bulls explain why we treated the way we are. Anybody who's not Christian needs to be converted by trade. And then if not, you go with the cannon and the musket and the sword or whatever you had at the particular era, you know what I'm saying, in European history. That's what's got us being treated the way we're being treated. Ain't nothing been written to overturn the papal bulls.
I
Dumb
gotta cut in
diversions,
there,
Romanus
brother.
Pontifex. That's what makes the Europeans decree official type of thinking
gotta-
when you subscribe. Then of course we're gonna agree with it.
I gotta cut in there, brother. Something did cut off them papal bulls. It's the treaties that the Moorish Empire made with them after the wars was fought. That treaty said you cannot enslave anymore. It made it illegal. It canceled out them papal bulls. That's why I say the identity more is more
Can you show that?
advantageous.
Hold on. You've been talking all night, bro. We need to see that. We need to see that. Like, I share my screen, I pull up actual culture from people, you know what I'm saying, verifying who we are, what we subscribe to. The way that people deal with us that practice racism, white supremacy, still subscribe to the type of ideology that's written in the papal bulls, and it extends
That's
far
a
beyond the
fact.
papal bulls. That was just
That's a fact.
that was just written at that time. That was just written at that time by Pope Alexander VI, I believe. But the point is, they're still treating us that
Innocent the
way
third.
through Jim Crow,
Mm-hmm.
through wherever. Like, we're still getting treated that way to this day, is what I'm saying, bro. George Floyd kneel on my neck with 5 or 6 people in my body so that I can't move, and cut off my circulation so that my windpipe closes. What are you saying? That
What
is the
I'm
type of
saying is,
behavior in the product of
pull
thinking.
up the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and it will clearly say in there, you cannot enslave any Moors. We get equal protections, et cetera, et cetera.
But that didn't
That
stop. Hold on. Now, wait. Slow down. You're talking about the treaties for more people who identifies that, bro.
exactly, and that's
Ain't
why.
no peace,
That's
more
part of
ain't
why.
no more. Hold on, bro. Hold on, man. Hold on.
You just cut me off,
Cause
but go
see,
ahead, bro.
no, actually, I was talking. Actually, bro, I was talking because I'm like, you over here talking about this Moorish peace treaty, and we not Moors. Let the world know that we not Moors, bro.
No,
We
that's
we
your
didn't. We're
choice.
not. No, it didn't stop nothing for us. Slavery still. Hold on. Slavery still went on, bro. They was still doing it. It didn't stop. They were still doing it. They doing it right. How about guess what? In North Africa, sex trafficking, human trafficking is just as it is in Venezuela. It's just as big as it is here in America. It's just as big as it is in Japan. Human trafficking is going on around the world, bro. They getting it in. as we speak. That's their currency. That's their economy. That's how they get down. It hasn't stopped. So no Moorish peace treaty that you want to come with. They're still enslaving kids. It ain't got nothing to do with no Moorish peace treaty stopping anything, bro. It didn't stop nothing. Like, I work too hard. My life's work is understanding who I am as an African man, bro. Black man. You want to get caught up over the term black and not use more because we speak in English. You only speak English, so you can only get that caught up on the term. You don't speak no other language to be able to really get caught up on the term, bro. You got to get into another language to define yourself then. If we speak English, we identify as the terms in the English language. That's you, Sutek?
Yeah,
Sharing your screen?
man. You keep saying we Moors, so
Go ahead, rock
I just
out.
went to Wikipedia, something basic. The term Moor is an exonym. And if people follow me, they should already know. I use this term a lot because I deal with Moors history. Um, exonym is a term given to a place or a people by outsiders. You can read it right here. The comment or in turn, oh, this is an endonym. Okay, but yeah, it's a name given to people by outsiders. It's an exonym first used by Christian Europeans to designate the Muslim inhabitants of the Maghreb, the Iberian Peninsula, Sicily, and Malta during the Middle Ages. Are we indigenous to any of these places? It's this our people, the Maghreb, the Iberian Peninsula, Sicily, Malta. We not indigenous to none of those places, bro. We down here. We below the Sahara. That Sahara, that's like a frontier. That's like a demarcation. We are in more settled areas because we are more settled people. These people that's in the Sahara, these Berbers, they're nomadic and semi-nomadic. We ain't living in no damn desert. That ain't how we rock. We hunter gatherers, fishers, agriculturists. We don't rock with the desert like that. So these is not our people, dog. And I just showed you an exonym. The Moors, meaning the Moors didn't even call themselves Moors, unless it was some European influence. Because it's a European word. Christian European word. This is a term that these Christian Europeans use to designate themselves from their enemies. The Islamists, the Mohammedans, the Saracens, the Muslims of North Africa that came up into their spot and laid them down. These is Moors. That's why it's a general broad term. That's why you can have white Moors and you can have black Moors and you can have tawny Moors because these ain't all one people. Moors are not hold on, I ain't even finish it. The Moors initially were indigenous to the Maghreb. Initially were the indigenous Maghrebian Berbers. I just showed you the genetic history of North Africa. I just showed you culturally and historically how these Berbers viewed us. Them ain't us. The name was later also applied to Arabs and Arabized Iberians. So, as you can see, as I always say, this term Moor is a term that shifts throughout time. At one historical point, it means this. At one historical point, it means that. It never meant us. Hold on 1 second. Let me go back. Come on, man. Don't start fucking up now. Here we go. don't know why my shit lagging. Yeah, man, these people were not us. They had us in slavery. They made it themselves distinct from us. The term has also been used in Europe in a broader, somewhat derogatory sense to refer to Muslims in general, and this comes later, especially those of Arab or Berber descent who's living in Spain or North Africa. It ain't even brought up the blacks yet. Because no matter what you say, it ain't nothing you said or done or shown yet to prove that Berbers are connected to sub-Saharan Africans or black Africans. I show the opposite though. During the colonial
Brother,
era, the Portuguese introduced
go
the
ahead. My bad.
names Ceylon Moors and Indian Moors in South Asia and Sri Lanka, and the Bengali Muslims were also Moors in the Philippines. See, so we trying to identify ourselves as all these people? Come on now. In the Philippines, the long-standing Muslim community, which predates the arrival of the Spanish, now self-identified as the Moro people, an exonym, still an exonym, introduced by Spanish colonizers due to their Muslim faith. So they call themselves, they now identify with these people in the Philippines now identify with this term because of Spanish colonizers. The 711 troops, mostly formed by Moors from northern Africa, led the Umayyad conquest of Hispania. The Iberian Peninsula then came to be known as, in classical Arabic, as Al-Andalus, which at its peak included most of Septimania and modern-day Spain and Portugal. So I don't feel like I need to keep going, but you get the point, man. This is not our people. This is a conglomerate of people. You see what I'm saying? Like this, we identify ourselves specifically. We didn't put these broad labels and terms on us. We refer to Black Africans today because that's a broad term. That's a broad term. Black African. We refer to them as sub-Saharan Africans, which is a broad term. But these people had their own name for themselves. Like the brother said, they're Bamalinke, Bambara, they're Yoruba, they're Fon. They had their own names. They didn't identify with this term more, and that's crazy to think they did because they adding all these other people into it. Indian Moor, Sri Lanka, South Asia, the Bengali Moor, like in the Philippines. Like we ain't got no connection to these people, dog. These people don't got no connection to us. And we can't try to black the dark skin thing because that has nothing to do with nothing. But go ahead.
Okay, brother, can you pull up the excerpt of the Negro Law or Negro Act of South Carolina? Share your screen on it. I would really appreciate it. But I will say this back to T'Challa's point. Well, me and T'Challa was talking about uh, the treaty. That was the point of stripping them of their nationality. So the treaty didn't apply. The Papal Bulls and all that did continue to happen. It did. But in 1790, it was made evident with the Sundry Free Moors Act that this was right in the thick of antebellum slavery. 1790, brothers, they used the Sundry Free Moors Act to show that they that act was based off of them saying we're not Negroes or Moors, so we will not be treated under those Negro acts. That stuff won't apply to us. Also, the Dungy versus Spencer case, where Abraham Lincoln was his attorney, and he was they were trying to not let him acquire some land, so they labeled the other person that wanted the land tried to label him Negro. And this brother was from Portugal. Excuse me. This brother was from Portugal, and Abraham Lincoln was his attorney. He said this man is not a Negro; he's a Moor, and he won the case. Uh, so all that those papal bulls was codified in the United States law, that doctrine of discovery and all that. It was taught to my generation in school as manifest destiny. They codified that, put it into United States jurisprudence, and they got their common law from England. So the treaties that the Moors made with England uh, took apply, as well as the ones with the United States. Now, if you choose not to call yourself a Moor, so the treaties don't apply, that is your God-given right to do so. But for me and mine, that is our path forward, because I have enough evidence to show that I'm a Moor. And I've never had anyone, except for African American people, challenge me on that fact. And then I will continue to point to the dictionary. Brother, I sent it to you on in the Facebook Messenger joint, brother. You can pull up that particular one. Or it don't matter. You can pull it up. It's section 4 of it, where it refers to us, the enslaved Negroes, as the ancient Berbers. And it says the term Negro only applies to enslaved people. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
crazy though, that you accept that, but you don't accept actual genetic studies. That's crazy. Hold on, I'm pulling
So
it up.
are you saying there were no sub-Saharan Africans mixed in and a part of the Moroccan Empire?
No, I didn't say that. I said it wasn't their
Okay.
empire. An empire means that you have vassals, correct?
Empire means you're comprised of many nations. That's my understanding.
Yes, and these other nations are vassals. That's what that means. Hold on. I don't see.
So yeah, man, it's either use a treaty, play
Hey,
the
I got
chess.
a question.
Go ahead.
You said that the point of the treaties was them stripping the identity from who?
No. I said the purpose of them stripping us of our identity. That was part of the chess move, to where those treaties did not apply.
Okay,
You
so
feel?
what I'm saying is, in the historical evidence that I have, we don't have evidence of our sub-Saharan West African ancestors calling themselves, just like I mentioned, with the various people that we've been knowing for that I've known for the last a dozen years. Like, when we sit around and discuss history after dance conferences and shows and performances, they never talk about, being a part of any of that. As far as on that end, that's one thing. Two, when it comes to uncovering our history and specifically tracing back what went on the plantations, what we were doing, breaking down the language aspect, to where when we were arriving on the ships, we were speaking whatever West African dialect of Arabic, as well as our indigenous languages, and maybe 4 or 5 other neighboring languages. And so we would start to work together and help each other out, those that would, based on already being familiar with some of the people that we were thrown in there with. that at least that we got mixed up in a particular ship of people within our regions. Then you had the ships of where the people that are all like, you might have had a ship that might have had some Yoruba and Igbo mixed in with some Baga off the coast of Guinea. Those are worlds apart. Africa is real big. And I know you know that, right? So there's a reason why this whole subscribing and attaching your group of people, ethnic group of people, to another ethnic group of people, to another ethnic group of people, to this big nationality title, it's not the culture and nature of sub-Saharan West Africans living down there. We're not talking about those that move up into Morocco and practice Moroccan culture. That's different, right? I'm a Chicago native. I lived in Cali for a little while. But while I'm in Cali, I'm not eating at the same restaurants. I'm not having access to some of the same other things that I have access to in Chicago. I practice a bit of a different culture living in Cali. I practice a more West Coast culture living in Cali. I wake up and put flip-flops on if I'm living off the beach, or if I know that I can go to the beach, whatever, I'm close to the beach. Like, I might rock short sleeves year round because it's hot. So my culture is going to be different. And down in sub-Saharan West Africa, they're not subscribing and trying to have this. They didn't identify as that being brought over on the ship. So that the more wasn't taken away from them. Not sub-Saharan West Africans. No, they wasn't identifying as that. They don't even look like the same people that would identify as quote unquote Moor in Northern Africa. We're not dressed the same because the climate is different. We got trees. We're playing djembe. We're carving whole drums out of trees. And dunun and other things. We got kora, balafon, wooden keys from trees to make our instruments. We got rivers. We have a rhythm for fishing. Like we that's what we're doing. So we're not identified as Moors being brought over here, bro. That's not us. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't equal West African, the total of West African culture and people, and that's what made up the Moors, and that's why, you know, the treaties was, you know, to not identify as Moors so that you can no, bro. They was whooping us upside the head, regardless. Even if those of us that would subscribe to that term, it's still whooping you upside your head, bro. I don't know not one brother that'll walk around with a fez on. I done seen them at Walmart too. They will come in with the fez on, bro, and want to talk. Yeah, you know, I'm Moorish American, my rights, I have my sovereignty. Cool. That's what you rock with. But guess what? If that police officer, like I said, wanted to go upside that brother's head, because I've seen it, the feds don't stop it. It just don't. When they look at us, they see you, Tariq Bey, and they see me, and they're like, man, them the same. That's how they do, bro. Right now, you can't tell me that that's not what it is. It's not advantageous to call myself a Moor, period.
My apologies.
And those that really know in the court of law and things like, they know the etymological roots of that word, because it was their ancestors that created it.
All right, this is what you wanted me to pull up.
We want to be everything to you. Anyone who subscribes to being a Moor, go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying this is what he wanted me to pull up. I don't know what for. I guess he had this highlighted. Section 4. The term Negro is confined to slave Africans, in parentheses, the ancient Berbers and their descendants. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, such as Lascars. Okay, that's cool, but and I don't know where you got this from, but that's not gonna determine a people's identity. What you're saying is these people
I didn't
have
say it
no
did.
capacity. So what does this prove?
This proves that Negro equals slave, and more does not.
You showing me something from a random website, bro. I don't know what it's at. I don't know when the date is on this, but today in 2021, nobody's getting enslaved for calling themselves Negro, African American, colored, black. Nobody's being enslaved for that. I
Brother,
mean,
this is from
that's just common sense.
1700s.
All
This
right, so
document is from
this ain't got shit to do with us today. That's my point.
it does because that's the root of the word. But of course, there was the 14th Amendment came, the 13th and 14th Amendment got us to where we have the privileges and protections that we do have now. But to get rights, human rights, you need to leave Negro alone. You need to leave that
The
Negro, Black, African American, any title that equals that legally, which Black and African American do, need to be left alone for that reason.
You, you,
Because
you
it's
said
not
that
you said the
amendment.
root of the word Negro. You
Go
said
ahead.
Negro meant slave, right? That's what you said. That's what you're saying, right?
I didn't say mean slave. I said, and if I did, I misspoke. I said legally, legally, in a legal capacity. I know what the definition of Negro means. It means black, right? But in a legal capacity, it is the equivalent of saying you're a slave in law. In just regular
And
language, no, it does not mean slave. But in law,
let's say that is true.
that unfortunately I'm traveling, so I'm not able to show. So again,
I'm not gonna not call myself an African, bro.
get
That's
equal
just not
rights
gonna happen.
to be recognized as human beings, for that 3/5 not to apply, for all the ways they've attacked us with the pen, it does apply. And again, you keep bringing up what cops would do to you and all that. I never said more is a force field, bro. I never said it's a force field. If someone looks at you and wants to hurt you for whatever reason, it's on you as a man to defend yourself and your family. That will never change. That's like that since the beginning. So I'm not naive with that. I know first blow it up and sound naive and saying, "Oh, because he's not a Moor, because he's not a Moor." Well, you got to get to court first. That's when all that really applies. You got to get to court first. So it's always your duty to protect yourself, brother. I'm never going to sit up here and try to tell anybody, oh well, as soon as you say you're more, everybody leaves you alone and it's just the Red Sea parts. You go home to the promised land. No, like I said earlier, that's the beginning of the work. But we have to put
No, bro.
ourselves in a
I'm not gonna
capacity.
not call myself an African man, bro. It's not gonna happen because that's not like I'm not
Listen,
nothing else
I'm,
but that. You see what I'm saying? So I don't need to.
listen, fam,
I've
real quick.
been. We was
I'm
hearing
not
you
saying
build,
I'm not
bro.
an African man,
We heard you, bro. Now check it out.
but you're implying something I'm not implying. You're implying I'm saying I'm not African. I never said I wasn't African.
I didn't imply nothing, bro. If you sit back and listen to what I'm saying now, because we done heard this Moorish rhetoric, not only from you, but from many people, bro. We done heard too many people have been trying to tell us not to call ourselves African since we've been like we're not African per se at that time, but we've been told to detach from our identity as Africans. We're using that word now today in the sense, but we know what we mean as people from that landmass, particularly from sub-Saharan regions, because what identifies as the culture. That's why you preying on those people, because they're really darker in hue, that are coming from the Abrahamic narrative. right? So therefore, since from coming over here, we weren't allowed to identify anything on that continent that connects us to that. So I'm not playing the game, bro. No, I'm not nothing else but a sub-Saharan West African man who that's my lineage, my bloodline, my sub-Saharan West African. That's who and what I am. And I live in America as a descendant of kidnapped victims that were used in the transatlantic slave trade to build this nation of what we have, America today. All right? That's who I am. I'm not a Moor. I'm not a Berber. I'm not a mixed in with the Berbers. No, that's not who I am. Anybody to tell me as a black man to not identify what I know is to be myself. It's not going to happen. What up, Sean?
Brother, I do not deny African ancestry. I'm not suggesting anyone else that has it to deny African ancestry. It's in my religious text that we were Northwest and Southwest Africans.
Ladies and gentlemen, as our
well
captain stated, we start our mission descending.
So we back at this, right? We back at square one. I just want to make sure that we back at square one. Because if we back at square one, I would highly suggest you scratch everything you ever learned and just deal with research methodology first. Learn how to research, how to qualify sources, vet sources, cross-reference your sources, recognize quality sources. Like if you're going to go on Google and there's no props to search engine. So if you want to go on Google, learn which sites to stay away from and which sites that you could trust. Trusted sites, credentialed sites, not assumptive sites or blogs that deal with rhetoric. We're talking scholarship. So when we're trying to identify as a certain people or culture, you have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. But when you come and you proselytize that belief as if it's fact, then we have the right to critique, scrutinize, and tear it down, whether you like it or not. So if you just came out and said, I just believe I'm a Moor, then, that's your belief. Nobody's going to argue with you over you believe in the feel like you're a Moor. But when you be like, we are the Moors, we the Berbers, and this, that, and the third, that is not what science says. That's not what history says. That's not what linguistics says. That's not what all the archaeological evidence says. Then we have the right to use the sciences against you to prove you wrong. So with that being said, I would highly recommend, bro, that you don't take to any belief. You start your path without a belief. And you let the information lead you to where you're trying to go and corroborate that information. That means even scrutinizing your belief, right? Because before that, you was probably Christian or something else, right? So do you have the heart, the rigor, and the know-how to challenge your belief if you believe it is a fact? But if it's just a belief, then you ain't got to do all that, because you could put it in its proper place. You could just simply sit there and say, I just believe. Because you can't prove belief, and we ain't finna argue with your belief. But when you know without a shadow of a doubt, you will say the hell with that belief. But I ran your boy off, yo. So I'm gonna go back on over here and mess with Uncle on Real Black Atheist.
So they live over there?
Yeah, that fool live.
All right, shit, man. We'll cut
Y'all
this short,
done beat this. Y'all done beat this dude up for 3 hours.
Yeah, he ain't bring no sources. I know he trapping.
He said he sent you the sources.
Man, he sent me that shit like 2 days ago, and it was like blog spots and shit like that. Like I wasn't finna do all that.
That's what I thought.
I was about to do all that.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah,
I'ma
we'll
slide
catch the
on in.
brother. We'll catch the brother on the next time, man. Let's go on over here to Unc show and see what he talking about, man. I'm gonna play it out. We'll catch up with the brother next time. We got some time to actually sit down. Maybe when he get off the plane and get his sources together and all that, because it's just too much talking on his end. So peace everybody, man. We appreciate y'all for coming through. Mika DeCentavo, Sister CK, Keenan, Brother Mathis, Camp, or whatever your name is, bro. I don't want to slaughter it. Sabio, Brother Sabio, man, peace to all y'all, bro, that came through and chill with us, hung with us. We're gonna go over here to either pseudo killers or real black atheists, wherever Unc at, show them some love and support. Peace, Marcel. Nah, man, we had a little conversation with the Moors, brother. That's all. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. But yeah, man, we out of here, man. We about to go over the Unc platform, see what's popping. I'm gonna play y'all out.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.